If you'd ask me what my favorite crop is to grow in the garden, then I would have a pretty tough time choosing. I really like my climbing beans or runner beans because they are so delicious and a very prolific crop, of course. I'm a big fan of pumpkins. I just like seeing them sprawling and climbing around my garden. And they're of course a very versatile crop in the kitchen. And I really like potatoes, just to have that staple food source that stores pretty well. And let's be honest, digging up potatoes is like unwrapping a present. But if I had to choose one, then it's probably going to be neither of those three. But to show you my current favorite crop, we have to get down to ground level. Let's go. This little red plant in front of me is called Amaranth, and in this particular case, Amaranthus caudatus, also known as cattail in Dutch, maybe also in English, I'm not really sure. Now, when we're talking about Amaranth, we are of course referring to the entire plant. However, most people are interested in its seeds. It is native to South America, where it has been cultivated for over 6,000 years by the Incas and the Aztecs, and it was a very important food source for them. Now, most people refer to amaranth as a pseudo grain, much like quinoa, for example. However, like I mentioned, it produces seeds and it's not a grain. So why is this my favorite crop to grow right now in the garden? Well, first of all, the entire plant is edible. So that means the roots, the stems, the leaves, and of course the seeds. You could steam or even ferment the roots and the stems. The leaves are high in fiber and also in vitamin A and C, and you could cook them or stir fry them like you would spinach, for example. And the seeds is where the real power of this plant lies. It's high in fiber, but it is also packed with nutrients such as iron, magnesium, phosphorus, and it has a surprisingly high protein value. So for anyone on a vegetarian or a vegan diet, this might be a perfect source of protein for you. You can put the seeds in your cereal, you can mix them in your homemade granola, or you can even use them to make popcorn. Another reason why I like this plant so much is that it is highly decorative for your garden. Mine creates these long tails with pink flowers, but there are also ones that grow upwards and they come in all different kinds of colors. So for example, green, yellow, purple, and even blackish. So if you're looking for a centerpiece for your garden that is also edible, the amaranth is a very good choice for you. And another reason why I like this plant so much is that it is very prolific, but it's also a survival crop. Now, a single plant can create thousands upon thousands of seeds, and it self-seeds very easily. Once it starts producing them, you just have to shake the plant a little bit and they scatter everywhere. I also mentioned that it is a survival crop, which means that it can grow on both fertile soil but also very poor soil, and it is very drought resistant. My plants of last year have self-seeded in this area in front of me, and it hasn't rained for 5 to 6 weeks now. The garden is bone dry. However, regardless of that, new amaranth seedlings have been popping up, and I have been ignoring this patch up until that point, so I'm going to tend a little bit better to them now that they're coming up. So yeah, the amaranth is very prolific, but also very tenacious. Now, getting these tiny seeds may seem like a hassle, but fortunately it's fairly straightforward. Harvest the flowers when they start to yellow. You can choose to let them fully dry on the plant, but seeds could fall on the ground or rain washes them into a pulp. I found that drying them in a bed sheet works best, as there will be enough ventilation without the chance of losing any seeds. Once the flowers have fully dried, you can then grab a bunch of them and press them through a sieve above a bucket. This may take some time, depending on how much amaranth you have, but it is actually quite satisfying to do. Once that is done, you're still left with a bucket full of seeds and chaff. But don't worry, there is a very simple way of separating the two. The seeds are a lot heavier than the chaff, so all you need to do is to grab a second bucket, get outside on a slightly windy day and start pouring the mix from one bucket to the other, with some distance between the two buckets. The chaff will blow away with the wind while the seeds fall into the bucket. Repeat this a few times until you have only the seeds left. Now you have your superfood ready. Always save a few seeds for next year and you'll never run out. So if you want a beautiful, edible and highly nutritious crop for your garden, then you should grow amaranth. And it is for good reason that it is called a superfood. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. Hit that like button and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.